So I want to explain just a little bit in this section called probability. Enough to get you started on 12-1, 12-2, and 12-3. 12-4 is a probability lab, and it's going to take quite a bit of time. And then, of course, you got the game for doing it. But let's start with 12-1, okay? This concept of probability is nothing more than what's your chances of something showing up. It's pretty easy, right? If you have a six-sided dice, you have six choices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's the odds of rolling a 1? It's just a 1 out of 6, which is pretty easy, right? And if you think about it, if you did your calculator, it's pretty easy. It's 16.67%. Divide 1 by 6, you'll get this number, right? For this one, obviously, it's a cross multiply. If you put 34 out of 200, right? And what would be percentage of ones being rolled? You just divide this and you'll get your answer. But you're going to compare what it would be for 1 out of 6. Does it match that number? And if you roll the die 25 times, it comes out of 4, it's still it's percentages. You've done this in one of the previous chapters, so it shouldn't be too hard, okay? Looking at the rest of this thing, it's all doable. Here's a little table so you guys can reflect back to when we did this. This isn't supposed to be too heady. You should be able to do this. This is a decimal 0.25. And of course, to convert it to a percent, you just multiply it by 100. That's just 25%. This should not be that difficult for you to encounter. Let's look at this one. This is a new concept. Okay, if you had a coin and you were going to flip it, what's your chances of it being heads or tails, right? So this shows you this branching thing when you're talking about independent events. Most probability is based on independent events. One event doesn't shape the outcome of this next event downstream. So easy way to do this is you take something and you say, okay, it's half of a chance of being heads or half a chance of being tails. You can make that a decimal or a fraction, right? Subsequent flips, all right, you could say, what's the odds of rolling heads 3 times in a row, or twice in a row for this matter, right? You would say it's 1/2 to roll the first heads, and it would be the odds would be 1/2 for the second round of heads. So you just multiply the probabilities together and you get 1 out of 4, okay? And of course, they're doing it as a decimal here to show you how that goes on, but every time you do it, there's a branch that can occur. If you were to do 3, I'm supposed to roll heads 3 times in a row, it would be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, which can be a 1/8 chance, which is 0.125 or 12.5%, okay? So you can see kind of how this works. When you click on this thing, right, this is going to pop out. You have a coin, you get heads, you toss the coin and you get heads. It's just, that's the first one I just showed you, right? And then you have a spinner and you get pink. Then you roll 6-sided dice to get a 5. So you count this up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5, 1/5 times 1/5 is 1 out of 25. You get the idea. This kind of goes through the whole thing. So we're talking about independent events. When you do it, you just branch off to your possible choices, okay? So I don't want to do all these for you. I want you to learn this thing, and then we'll see if you understand the concept, right? The last thing we want to talk about is this level of probability. And this is where it may come up in your daily lives. I say this jokingly. You have a deck of cards, and obviously you have a 6-sided dice down here, but let's look at this deck of cards concept. You have a whole bunch of possibilities for looking at probability, right? So we have 4 different choices for suits. You might ask yourself, what's the odds of rolling a heart? Well, it's 1 out of 4 because you have 4 different choices, right? If you say, what's the odds of rolling a face card? Well, we have 52 cards, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It'd be 12 out of 52. Now, you would never leave it like that, right? You'd reduce this to a usable format. If I divide this by 2, divide this by 2, I get 6 out of what? 26. Divide by 2, divide by 2, I get 3 out of 13. Okay, so you just make sure you always reduce your probabilities to something that isn't its lowest form. It's just like any fraction. You want to reduce it. So if I grab one of these sheets, okay, to take a look at it, And obviously they're going to be given out to you. It says a probability of drawing cards 2 through 3. If I look at this thing, and I put this up here because sometimes it's hard to visualize this. I use my color thing here. 2 through 3 are these guys, right? So what is that going to be? It's going to be 8 out of 52, right? Divide by 2, divide by 2. This is 4 out of 26. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Then it'd be 2 out of 13. Okay. As you can see, this is a really nice way of doing it because you got all the cards splayed in front of you, so you can see what you're doing here. And probably drawing a face card that's a diamond, face card that is a diamond. All right, let's take a look at this. So if I clear this thing, if I say there's a face card that's a diamond, it's these 3, right? So it's going to be 3 out of 52, right? So the question is, can this be reduced? Well, I don't know. We could try, right? 3 goes into 52. Let's say 1 times 3 is 3. Bring out this 20. Bring out 2. No, that's it. You're just stuck with that. There you go. So you get the idea of what we're doing. It shouldn't be too hard, right? So that is these. And you could take a look at all these things. This is just some face card ideas, right? Drawing a 4 that is a diamond and all this other stuff. You get the idea. If you can think any card by itself of any suit is 1 out of 52, right? Let's take a look at this other guy over here. So I'm going to clear this off. The other one is just dwelling, and obviously I have a 6-sided die for this thing. And it's asking the same, except now it's asking questions of a couple of numbers out each one. What's all the possibilities of rolling a 6-sided dice? What is all the possibilities? That should be easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got it, right? Multiples of 4. I'm rolling a multiple of 4, right? You have one multiple of 4 here. So it's 1, 6, right? You see what's going on? Rolling an odd prime number. Oh, well, that's going to be like 3 and 5. So that's 2 out of 6, right? Or 1/3. And so on. You go all the way down, right? Remember, 1 is actually not considered a prime. It's odd, but it's not a prime because it's the weird guy. He's the guy that doesn't get along with people in the schoolyard. So make sure you remember that. All these things are just doable if you know a basic concept in mathematics. Well, hopefully that makes sense to you. Shouldn't have a problem with it. And keep in mind, this is kind of set up to make it a little easier when you're doing it because you have these things displayed in front of you. You can just look at them to make it easier. That's why they're linked into the Google Classroom.